In the past few years, I've sold nearly $10 million for both myself and for my clients, and this is one of the first things that I ever install in a business when I'm trying to grow it. If you're like most business owners and you feel like you're constantly battling the algorithm, the declining reach, the increased competition, the constant algorithm changes, then worry no more, because I got you. This simple solution will solve all of these problems for you. It's dead simple to use, super cheap to operate, and virtually anybody can install this and get it working in just a matter of minutes. So let's jump in. This is how you build your personal brand on Autopilot. Here's how most creators approach content. If you're anything like them, you're probably spending hours and hours and hours researching the latest trends, what your competitors are doing, and trying to model what you think is working. And then you're gonna take and you're gonna perfectly script your content. If you're smart, you're likely gonna take an entire day and batch record a whole bunch of content either for the week, 2 weeks, or the month. You're either going to edit your own or you're gonna pay an editor, which usually aren't super cheap, to edit all of this content for you. You're finally gonna post to socials. And after all of this work, what ends up happening? Your content gets 300 views. This is the creator trap. Most business owners fall into this very, very quickly, where they're constantly grinding out content, battling with constant algorithm changes, increasing competition, and just a declining overall reach. And ultimately what this means, at the end of the day, in the creator game, it's really only the top 1 to 2% that are gonna take home 99% of the algorithm's reach. If you're a business owner, you're not just competing with the other business owners in your space. These other creators have found ways to engineer these types of content. Those creators aren't necessarily making money off of doing this, but what they're doing is they are hijacking your audience's attention. So they may not be necessarily making the sales, but they are stealing the attention from you. And it makes it very, very difficult to compete in modern day social media algorithms. What this means for you as a business owner is that you end up with no leads, no sales, and no raving fans because your content simply isn't reaching everybody. That really sucks. And most people ultimately just end up continually playing what I call algorithm roulette. And they sit and they spin the wheel over and over and over again, hoping that one day they're gonna land on lucky number 7. If your hope is to go viral, you're not going to be reaching the right people with the right message. The whole model of content of trying to reach the mass market and go viral and reach as many people as possible just doesn't really help you grow a business. Unless you're in the entertainment business or you're selling consumer packaged goods, that's a different story. But if you're an online business owner, you're trying to sell digital products, you're an agency owner, you're trying to sell your services, or you're a coach and consultant where you're trying to sell your expertise, that is not the way to do it because you're just going to attract people whose eyeballs are very fleeting. You want to build a relationship and a connection. And in recent years, it's become harder and harder to do using the type of content that you need to attract those people and still have it actually get pushed out into the algorithm. And so when you're playing algorithm roulette this way, what you're doing is you're not gambling with your lunch money, you're gambling with your freaking business. And that is a very, very dangerous bet to make. Now, this system that I'm about to share with you is how you can engineer everything that you're looking for from organic content. Let's get into what that actually looks like. It's gonna work in tandem with your existing social media content strategy. We're gonna utilize your existing profile, and not a whole lot has to change providing that it's been optimized and set up properly. We're gonna take the existing content that you're already posting, which is already going out in the market, it's already finding new eyeballs. And while I still don't recommend that you optimize for viral content, as long as your content and the messaging that you're putting out is directed in some form at your ideal client, this should work just fine. How this is going to work is when somebody watches your content, they're gonna take one of several different actions. They're going to click on your profile and follow, or not follow. They're going to comment or engage. They're going to watch entirely, or they're going to scroll away. Now it's these top ones here that are what actually make us money. If we can't control the users who typically scroll away, if they're just quickly scrolling away, that tells me that they're not a part of our ideal market. They're not associating with your messaging. And while there's things that we can do to improve that, that's not the topic of this video. we can actually engineer based off of the actions that they're taking. If they're clicking on our profile and not following us, or if they're commenting and engaging, we can continue to push them further and further down in the sales cycle sequence. Here's what this actually looks like. We're going to run a series of your existing content. And whether they visit your profile, whether they engage with your content, whether they comment or whatever, they're then going to go into a bucket. And once they enter this bucket, it's going to be very difficult for them to leave, because each day we're going to drip out a different piece of content for them, spending no more than $1 a day. And so yes, I am talking about ads here. They're not cold ads, and they're very, very cheap ads to run. And what this is doing is now, rather than having to rely on the algorithm for each individual one of these pieces of content, your content is going to be put in front of your best quality audience right from day one. So if you have a new follower who comes to your profile but doesn't follow you, they clicked on your content, they engaged with your content, but they didn't follow. And so now what's going to happen is they're going to get drip fed a whole bunch more of your content, where otherwise what likely would have happened is your content would have been overshadowed by all the other creators out there. This guarantees that your content will be put in front of those people who just visited your profile or engaged with your content or sent you a DM or what have you. This allows us now to architect the process that we're all trying to vie for anyways. We're trying to attract views, we're trying to attract followers, we're trying to attract people who engage with our lead forms. The problem is that a lot of that content isn't going to reach your audience in the way that you actually want it to, because it's being overshadowed by all the competition. Now let me break this down for you a little bit further. You're probably thinking, this all sounds great, but what type of content do I run? I can't just push out any old content to these audiences, or I'm kind of wasting my time. And that's why we're going to talk about what the 5 pillars of content that you'll be covering are. And the first content is objection handling. And objection handling is typically what your clients will say when they're talking about your offer or your mechanism or your vehicle or whatever it is that you do. And they're going to say, you know, sounds great, but blank. Whatever it is that they say there, that's an objection that needs to be overcome. What this might sound like in your audience is, this all sounds great, I'd love to build a personal brand, but I'm not any good on camera. I suck on camera, I'm terrified of it. Now what you do with this is you take either an existing piece of content that you already have that overcomes this objection, or you create something new. Something typically like, here's how to record quality content even if you're terrible on camera, or even if you're deathly afraid of the camera. And so we can do this at every stage along the customer journey. It doesn't necessarily have to be content. You can also talk about case studies or tell stories about how you overcame that objection or how a client overcame that objection. The goal here is to pre-handle any objections that your clients have towards your business, your offer, or your mechanism. And when you do this, when they eventually show up in your DMs or show up on your sales calls, they're already going to understand how to overcome most of the common problems that they're going to have. The next content that you're going to focus on is called belief shifting content. And most people in your ecosystem are going to come to you with preconceived notions about certain things, right? You have to X before you can Y. And this is really going to show itself in the form of Y content or contrarian content. One way you can see this in action is if you go back to the start of the video, how I talked about how most content creators and how most business owners do their content. That's an example of Y and contrarian content. I'm contrasting against what the common conventional norm is in the market. Everybody else is telling you to push, 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 post more, grind more, and I'm telling you, you don't need to do that. And here's why. And here's actually why the old way doesn't work. So Y content is going to be phenomenal for belief shifting, as well as contrarian content, which is just a fancy word for contrast. And what this does is this positions you as an expert in front of your would-be client, because everybody else in the marketplace is talking about, here's 3 tips to X, here's how you ABC. And that actually can be spit out by ChatGPT in about 3 seconds, whereas this shows a deeper understanding and gives them more insight. Not only does it do that, but it creates contrast against what they're likely already struggling with, why it doesn't work, and how your new thing is better. And so if you talk in this manner, what will happen over time is it will shift their beliefs not only against the other mechanisms that they're using, but it'll shift them positively towards your business, your mechanism, and your vehicle. The next thing that we want to do is we want to actually create goodwill with them. And this is in the form of micro education. Now, I know I kind of just poo-pooed all over the value in the last one of how to, but there is one nuance here. And this is very specific how-to content that your clients are struggling with. And this could be something as simple as, here's the best resolution to upload your videos to Instagram in. That's a very clear example of a micro education problem. And if somebody's struggling with getting the right video quality, it's not going to solve the whole enchilada, the whole problem, their whole business model for them. But what it's going to do is it's going to provide them very hyper surgical value around a problem that they have as a part of the journey. And you can do this in any industry. Find out what is one micro problem that they have and solve that with extreme detail front to back. This is going to give your client a very quick win. It's absolutely free for them. It's something they can implement. They're starting to follow your direction and they're getting instant, immediate value from you. Not some very high, broad, here's 3 steps. Eat healthy, work out more, sleep 8 hours. That's not an example of micro education. The next thing we want to tackle here is your client win stories. And this is partially them getting to know you and getting to know that you can prove and back up what you say you can do. And it's one of the most powerful things from an expert that you can utilize, because there's a lot of people out there talking smack and a lot of people claiming that they can help you when they don't necessarily have any proof that they can do so. And when your clients see proof that you can actually get them results, not just saying that you can do it, but you're showcasing what you did in the past to help them overcome obstacles and objections that they may already have, that's giving them hard evidence in a way that can't just really be fabricated or made up. And this is also going to be one of the easiest things for you to talk about because you're drawing from your own experience. In order to do this, think about a client that you helped recently. What was one roadblock that they struggled with? For example, if you have a client who was running ads, perhaps they were spending thousands and thousands of dollars a month but not seeing a return. And they tried various different methods of targeting, from broad, lookalike, interest, whatever. And where you came in was you came in and you tweaked their creative process. Instead of attacking what they were already doing, you came in and gave them one tweak to their creative, which spoke to a different avatar in the market, and that made all the difference in the world. That client is now profitable. Therefore, the moral of this story is that ads are not about targeting audiences. They're actually about having a better creative. And that's how you can both showcase a client win and shift their beliefs about what they tend to believe around your offer or your mechanism. And this is critical, not just so that you can prove that you can do what you say you can do, but also to make them believe that they can do it. Moving on, the last content pillar that we're going to talk about are called hand raisers. Now, this is how you take your newly engaged audience and actually convert them into leads and conversations. So these are things like value CTAs, direct CTAs, and things like invitations. Now, you're probably wondering, who do I actually target with this? How do I set this up? We're going to get to that right now. And the people that you want to target with this campaign is you're not sending these ads out to the broad cold market, because that's just going to waste your money. The people that you want to target are going to be your followers, your content engagers, your inbound DMs, your page and profile visitors, and your email list, because these are all the people in your what you would call an evoked set in marketing terms, or your warm audience. And then we want to exclude people who might be on a disqualification or poor quality lead list and existing clients, because there's no point in putting all of this in front of existing clients as we already have contact with them and they've already bought from us. So how do we actually set this up? Well, you're going to run 3 different campaigns. And the first is what I call your follower win-back campaign. And we're going to be targeting people who have visited your profile and backed out without following. People who have engaged with your content but didn't visit your profile and follow. And we're going to be excluding existing followers, clients, and our poor lead list. And the type of content that we're going to target this campaign with is going to be your story. So if you don't have a reel or a carousel that speaks to your story yet, I highly suggest you make one. This is going to educate new followers and content engagers on what your business and what your story is all about, what sets you different, and how you can actually help them. Before anybody can buy anything from you, they need to have this information. And this doesn't have to go in depth about breaking down your sales system or anything like that. It's just a simple, short, concise video about what you do differently than what your competitor does. We're also going to target them with what I call follower growth ads. And this is just an ad that's designed to call out your ideal prospect. If you're a content creator who's stuck on being on the hamster wheel, here's how I got outstanding result in time frame, and here's how you can do it too. And then you break it down and say, look, if you want more information like this, then make sure to hit the follow button. It's very specific in terms of the languaging that you're using. If you want a breakdown of what that script actually looks like, I cover it in this video right here. The other thing you want to cover here is what are the micro education problems. And this is just to prove to a potential new follower or engager that you are somebody of value that's worth following. All of this content, the objective is going to be pushing them back into your profile. So from a Meta Ads Manager standpoint, your objective is going to be traffic, Instagram profile. Okay, the next one we're going to be talking about is belief content. And this is going to be warming up your existing audience, people who are existing followers. They've already DM'd you or they're already on your email list. And so this is going to be some of your warmest audience pocket on this list. We're going to be excluding clients and we're going to be excluding your poor quality leads list. And we're also going to hit them with your story. We're going to hit them with objection handlers. We're going to hit them with client win stories, with why content and contrarian content as discussed in the previous belief building pillar. The reason that we use that whole bulk of stuff, again, make sure that you're using your existing content that achieves these objectives as much as possible. If you don't, then you now know exactly which kind of content to go and create. The benefit of this system is that you're only going to have to create this content once, and you can plug and play, and it will continue working for you over and over and over again without you having to continually post this content every single day, which is what the typical organic system looks like. You are indoctrinating them into your messaging, your positioning, your exact way of doing things, and you're able to convey a lot of information over time and slowly convert them from, I don't know who you are and what you do or if this can help me, to this is exactly what I need to solve my problem. And this campaign is going to be your heavy mover for this. You want to set this campaign up for either engagement or video views. Video views being the preferred one. And that's so that you can make sure that your audience is consuming your message. The last one is our hand raiser posts. And these are the ones that we're going to be targeting our existing followers and our existing email list. We're going to exclude recent inbound DMs, we're going to exclude clients, and we're going to exclude our poor leads list. What we're going to offer them is, again, those value CTAs, which is just a typical, here's how I get X without Y. If you want a free training on that, comment this, I'll send it right over to you. Or we're going to give them an offer invite. I'm looking for 5 avatar that want to get result in the next time frame. That's a very simple way. Obviously, you want to reword that to make it sound like your market. Don't just copy and paste it, but that is the format. Okay? And then we can even offer belief content that has CTAs. So for example, if I'm offering a contrarian content, don't post viral content, instead do this. Here's my content conveyor framework, comment conveyor if you want it. So something like that. It's the same belief content, but make sure that it has a CTA so that now this lead can engage with you and end up on your email list, in your DMs, and moving forward with you as a business. That's how you can actually generate an unlimited amount of leads very, very cheaply. Because when all 3 of these work together, what happens is the first time somebody hits your page, maybe they don't follow. Then they start seeing more about you. Then they come back and they follow you. Once they follow you, now they're starting to get into the belief building conveyor belt that's going to work without you having to do anything. It just costs a little bit of money, like $1 a day per piece of content, which honestly, if you can't afford $1 a day for content, I don't know what you're doing creating content, because it costs money, it costs your time, and there's a lot more valuable ways that you could be spending your time if you don't have enough money to spend on $1 a day. You can take 5 pieces of content from this system and run them at $1 a day, and it's only going to cost you $150 a month, which is far less than what I pay for my video editing softwares, and way less than I would pay for a video editor to do these things. You make them once, you set them up, and you run them, and it's a $150 a month subscription that is building your brand on autopilot for you. And there's no advanced techniques here. Everything I've broken down for you, you can implement today. Most of you will already have the content that you need in order to make this system work. I'm just giving you the full scope so that you understand exactly what is going on in this system and not just do this, do this, do this. Okay? If you do want an in-depth, over-the-shoulder tactical campaign setup, watching me set these campaigns up in real time, then DM me belief over on Instagram at Wes Briggs Official. I'll send you the tactical training breaking down exactly how to set up your campaign, your ad set, your targeting, everything in real time so that you can just follow along. So head on over there, Wes Briggs Official on Instagram, and DM me the word belief. Now the last thing I'm going to cover is an important pro tip. And while you're running this content, especially in the belief video view content, you want to make sure that you are excluding your video views from your video views. And what that means is if I run a belief building story about here's how to not get ghosted in the DMs, I'm going to set that up in its individual ad set, and I'm going to exclude anybody who watches that video at a 50% marker. So if they watch 30 seconds of the video, I'm going to exclude that from its own ad set. This way you're not wasting money by showing your content multiple times to the same people. They're gonna see you and your brand, but if they've already watched the content, you're not gonna make it irrelevant by putting it in front of them again. They'll see the next piece of content until they watch it. And that is one of the most powerful things about this system. You don't have to compete with the algorithm gods and all of your competition that are constantly twerking and doing all sorts of ridiculous things to hijack their attention. This system goes out and builds your brand for you on autopilot while you sleep, and it is the closest thing to automatic brand building that you can possibly have. Now that was the exact automatic brand building content system that me and my clients have used to sell nearly $10 million in combined revenue. If you want to learn our signature sales system so that you can weaponize this in tandem so that you can start scaling this week, then go watch this video here.